Hey everyone, welcome back to Somonul Art. I'm Somonul, and today we're diving into another exciting Gaea tutorial. This time we'll be exploring the texture node. The texture node is a powerful tool that can add incredible detail and realism to your terrain. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a solid understanding of how to use the texture node and its various options to enhance your projects. Let's get started. Let's begin by adding the texture node to our graph. As you can see, I've already created a scene right here. It's using just basically a canyon node, a purlin node, and then I've combined both of those together, and I've added a wizard node to add some erosion to it. And as you can see, this is the scene we're working with right here. Nothing too crazy. Alright, let's add that texture node. You're going to find it under the toolbox. We'll scroll all the way up here. And we'll scroll all the way down to data. I'll be looking for data right here. And a little bit further down at the end of the list, right here is texture. We'll just drag and drop this right into our graph right here. Just like so. Boom. That easy. From our wizard output node, we'll drag it right into the texture input node. And now we have a beautiful texture node. Look at that. That looks cool already. Oh man, that is awesome. Wow. So before we get too carried away with this, let's go over all the parameters. The first parameter we have is scale. This controls the size of the texture patterns. A higher percentage will result in larger patterns, while a lower percentage will give you finer details. Let's adjust and see the difference. To do that, we're going to have to hit this apply button. Or if you don't like hitting the apply button, you can always hit this unlock button here, and that should update it on the fly. But it does take a little bit more resources to use that. And I can already hear the fans in my computer ramping up. But it's alright. So as you can see, we got a lot more contrast going on when we add all the way up to 100% and a lot less contrast. Kind of liked it where we were at with 50, so we'll keep it on that for this demonstration for now. Next, we have the mode option. This lets you choose the different texture generation algorithms. Each mode will produce a unique look, so it's worth experimenting with these to find the one that best fits your project. That's pretty cool. I'm liking that one. But we'll change it back to A, and we'll go over the next node. Moving on, we have patches percent. This controls the distribution of the texture patches across the surface. Increasing the percentage will create more distinct patches, whereas decreasing it will blend the textures more smoothly. And then we have the seed parameter. This is essentially the randomness factor. By changing the seed value, you can generate different variations of the texture without altering any of the other settings. Now let's take a look at the Influences tab. This section allows you to add additional layers of detail to your texture. We have several options here: slope, soil, chaos, and 2 checkboxes, graded and fast. We'll start with the slope slider. The slope slider allows you to add texture based on the slope of your terrain. This is great for adding realistic erosion patterns. Let's increase it and see how it affects the terrain. As you can see, as we pull this slider up, the details get really fine. But if we turn it off almost, look at that, that is cool. I'm going to change it back to about 50. Next is soil. This parameter adds a soil-like texture to flatter areas, which can be useful for creating more natural-looking landscapes. You can see as we ramp that up, the edges become so crisp. And as we drop it down, look at that. See how it all flattened out right here? That is really beautiful. It's some really good distinct variations right there. Wow, I actually really like that. But I'm going to change that back to about 50 again, and we will check out the next option, which is chaos. Chaos is an interesting parameter. It introduces randomness to your texture, breaking up any repetitive patterns and making the terrain look more organic. Finally, we have the graded and fast checkboxes. The graded checkbox smooths the transitions between different texture areas, giving a more blended look. The fast checkbox prioritizes processing speed over detail, which can be useful if you're working on a large project and need quicker results. So now that we've explained all the parameters, let's go ahead and play with this node for a little bit and see what we can come up with. Well, the first thing I remember is I like that soil down just a little bit, so I'm going to dial that down to about 23. Whoa, that is like a winter wonderland right there. We don't want to go that crazy just yet. Dial that back. Some of these patches. We'll change this to B. Scale's kind of cool, but we'll leave it around 65, 68. No, we'll go 69. Let's turn off fast and see what we've got. Let's take a look at this. And that is pretty cool. See how it looks with... Nah, it's too wild. We'll go back to B. That looks just beautiful. Let's do something else though. Let's take another texture node. We'll drag and drop it right here. Just like so. Line it up because it didn't want to line up correctly the first time. We'll scroll up a bit more and we're going to go to adjusts. We'll grab another combine node. We'll add that guy right here. Before we do that though, I'm going to randomly shuffle these around. Let's see, patches, maybe seed. Let's do the opposite of kind of what we were doing earlier. A little less chaos. And turn off graded. We'll leave fast on. Looks good. Alright, now we'll connect the output nodes right there like that. And you can see we got an error. That's because we have nothing leading into this yet. We'll get that addressed in just a second. Change that over to screen on our combine node. Alright, we'll go back to our erosion node. We will take the same output that we used earlier to plug into this texture node. I'm going to plug it into the second one now. So I've got two channels feeding into that. So now we can actually tell what this texture is doing. This is pretty crazy. Let's up the scale just a little bit to about 40. Hit the apply changes. I might actually turn that off so I can see what's going on in real time. Beautiful. Oh, this is going to be one beautiful landscape, guys. This is such a fun thing to work with. Oop, I don't want to get too close to what I was working with on my prior texture node because that would kind of defeat the purpose of combining things. So now we can adjust which do we want more of to be the dominating texture. This is our first one that we worked on. And then we can bring out some of those nice details. I don't want to get too carried away with that though, so we will dial it down to about 60. What happens if we do that? We'll leave it like that. Clamp the output. Beautiful. And there we go, guys. Oh man, just look at this. And for a quick bonus, I added a little bit more color variation using a SatMaps with a combine node right here. This is a great way to bring some extra life into your scene. When you can combine both the textures with the SatMaps. We'll actually cover the SatMaps node in another tutorial, but I thought I'd show you guys what you can do with it really quickly right here, just by adding a quick combine. And there you have it. That's a comprehensive overview of the texture node in Gaea. I hope this tutorial helps you add more depth and realism to your terrains. If you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Somonul Art for more Gaea tutorials and other creative content. Leave a comment below if you have any other questions or if there's a specific topic you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and happy terraforming, my friends.